Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
It's excited to be here.
Today we're going to be tackling something pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
The American Chemical Society.
The ACS.
Yep, the ACS.
I've always found them fascinating.
Yeah, me too. And I think a lot of people don't realize,
How much they do.
yeah, just how much influence they have.
It's way beyond beakers and test tubes, you know?
Exactly. It's global.
Absolutely.
So to make sure we cover everything, I've got a ton of research and articles here.
Sounds like we're ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so where do we even begin with a story like this?
Well, I think the best place to start is at the beginning.
Right. Back to the roots.
Exactly. Take us back.
All right, so picture this. New York City, 1876.
Oh,
A small group of chemists, just 35 of them get together.
35. Wow.
Yeah, just a small group, but they had big ideas.
So what brought them together?
Well, they were inspired by a recent celebration.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the discovery of oxygen.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The centennial of Priestley's discovery.
Exactly. It was just 2 years after that huge event.
So they were riding that wave of excitement.
I guess you could say that. And from that small gathering,
It's amazing to think.
the ACS was born.
And it's grown so much since then.
Exponentially. Over 200,000 members now.
Wow. And how many countries was it?
140 countries.
That's incredible. A true global network
It really is mind-blowing.
from 35 to 200,000.
Yeah, talk about a glow-up. But it's more than just the numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
How did they go from, a group of chemists meeting in New York
Right.
to this international powerhouse?
Yeah, they were very strategic.
Oh, bet.
Early on in 1879,
Okay.
they established the Journal of the American Chemical Society.
Oh, yes. JCS.
JCS, exactly. And that became a really important platform.
For sharing research.
Exactly, for groundbreaking research.
So that must have helped build their reputation.
Oh, absolutely. It attracted the best scientists.
Right, because everyone wants to be published in JCS.
It's like the gold standard,
Yeah.
you know?
For sure.
And then to make information even more accessible,
Yeah.
they created the Chemical Abstracts Service.
CAS.
Yeah,
The CAS.
I heard of that, but honestly, I don't really know what it is.
Well, it's a massive database
Okay.
that scientists all over the world use.
So is it like Google, but for chemistry?
You could say that. It helps them navigate all the chemical information out there.
That makes sense because there's so much research being published all the time.
Exactly. It can be overwhelming.
So JCS is where the groundbreaking research gets published,
Right.
and CAS is how scientists actually find that research.
Makes sense, right?
Totally. And then on top of all that,
And they wanted to keep the public informed.
oh, right. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, they have Chemical and Engineering News.
They're a magazine?
Yeah, a weekly trade magazine.
Wow, so they really have a finger on the pulse of everything.
They try to. It's like a window into the world of chemistry.
So they've got the research covered, accessibility covered,
Uh-huh.
and they're keeping the public in the loop. They don't stop there, though.
I was going to say, what about their actual meetings?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard those are legendary.
Oh, they are massive.
Like, how massive are we talking?
Thousands of scientists from every field you can imagine,
All in one place.
all gathered twice a year.
Wow. That's got to be an incredible amount of energy.
It's electric. You can feel the excitement.
So it's like a giant chemistry party.
Kind of, but with a lot of serious science happening, too.
Of course, of course. So what happens at these meetings?
Oh, everything. Presentations, poster sessions,
A
networking.
lot of collaboration, I'm guessing.
Oh, tons. Sometimes just bumping into someone.
Can spark a new idea.
Exactly. And I've even seen Nobel laureates there.
Presenting their work.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It really highlights the importance of community in science.
Yeah, it's not all just solo work in a lab.
Right. It's about connecting and sharing ideas.
Exactly. And the ACS doesn't just stop at research.
Yeah, I was going to say they're really big on education, too.
Huge. They have so many programs.
Like, what are some of their most well-known programs?
Well, the U.S. National Chemistry Olympiad.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
They also provide a lot of resources for teachers.
Smart move. Invest in the next generation.
Exactly.
And I was super impressed by their focus on inclusivity,
Yeah.
especially Project SEED and the ACS Scholars Program,
Those are fantastic programs.
helping underrepresented students get into STEM.
It's about making sure everyone has a chance.
Right, opportunity for everyone
Because a diverse scientific community,
is a stronger one.
absolutely. Different perspectives lead to better solutions.
Couldn't agree more, but all this outreach and education takes funding.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
So how do they support all their research initiatives?
Well, they have several grant programs.
Oh, I bet. And we're talking serious money here.
Oh, yeah, like the Petroleum Research Fund.
Okay.
Recently provided over $19 million in grants.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that program alone has funded 28 future Nobel laureates.
That's a pretty impressive track record.
Right. They really know how to pick winners.
So they're not just funding research for the sake of it.
Right.
They're looking for projects with real-world impact.
And that's what's really interesting is how they go beyond the lab.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not afraid to get involved in public policy.
Oh, yeah, they have the Science and the Congress Project.
No, I was curious about that one. What
Yeah.
exactly do they do?
Well, they basically act as a bridge between scientists and policymakers.
Okay, so they're like translators.
Yeah, helping
Yeah.
politicians understand complex scientific issues.
Which is so important because a lot of policy decisions,
the scientific component.
absolutely, like climate change, healthcare.
The list goes on and on.
So it's not just about doing the research.
Right?
It's about making sure that research actually informs policy.
And they're not afraid to take a stand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have these public policy priorities.
So what are some of the big issues they're focused on?
Well, climate change, of course.
Makes sense.
Sustainability, clean energy access to clean water.
Wow, so they're really trying to tackle some of the most pressing global challenges.
Absolutely. They're using chemistry to make a difference.
So it's not just about knowledge for knowledge's sake.
Nope.
It's about applying that knowledge to improve the world.
That's the heart of their mission.
And all of this is happening on a global scale, right?
Global. We've mentioned their 200,000 members in 140 countries.
Right. But it's more than just membership numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
It's about creating a global community of scientists.
Breaking down those barriers.
Exactly. Facilitating collaboration, sharing knowledge across borders.
And their journals are a great example of that.
Yeah, over 80% of the articles published in their journals.
Come from outside the U.S.
That's right.
It's amazing they've truly created a global network.
A network that's driving innovation and progress.
So we've seen how they've grown from a small gathering to this global force.
It's an amazing story.
It really is. But
Yeah.
I'm wondering,
Yeah.
what kind of challenges do they face?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because maintaining this momentum can't be easy.
You're telling me, both internally and externally.
Yeah. What are some of the hurdles they have to overcome?
Well, that's a topic for another time.
Okay, so we'll have to save that for later in our deep dive.
But let's just say navigating the world of science funding and global politics,
Is no easy feat.
even for an organization as influential as the ACS.
All right, well then let's take a quick break
Counts good.
and we'll come back and explore those challenges in more detail.
I'm ready for it when you are.
It's really incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
Almost 150 years.
And the impact they've had.
Yeah, it's amazing. All because of the vision of those original 35 chemists.
It really speaks to that, doesn't it?
They really understood that chemistry was about more than just experiments. It was about making a difference.
And that's something that's carried through.
Today,
Exactly.
like that framework they created
Uh-huh.
has allowed the ACS to evolve.
To stay relevant.
Exactly. And meet the challenges of each new era.
Which is super impressive.
It is, because they're not stuck in the past.
Right.
They're always looking ahead
Absolutely. Always trying to see what's on the horizon.
and how chemistry can address those emerging challenges.
It's forward thinking, you know?
It is. And we touched on their public policy priorities earlier.
Yeah.
And I wanted to dig a little deeper into some of those.
Yeah.
Especially the ones focused on global challenges.
Like climate change.
Exactly. Climate change and clean energy.
Yeah, they're very active in those areas.
In what ways?
Well, for example, they work to educate policymakers about renewable energy,
Okay.
like solar and wind power.
Which makes sense. I mean, you need chemists
Oh, absolutely.
to develop new materials for solar panels.
To figure out better ways to store energy.
Exactly, to make these technologies more efficient and cost-effective.
It's all connected.
It is, so it's not just about advocating for specific technologies.
Right.
It's about pushing for policies that create a more sustainable future overall.
Absolutely. Things like reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Promoting energy efficiency, investing in research.
It's a multi-pronged approach.
So they're really trying to use their influence
Uh-huh.
to make a difference in the fight against climate change.
They understand the urgency,
They do. And they're committed to being part of the solution.
which is great to see.
But it's not just about those big global challenges.
Right.
They're also focused on issues that affect everyday lives.
Like access to clean water.
Exactly. What kind of work are they doing in that area?
Well, a lot, actually. They're involved in developing new water purification technologies,
Okay.
educating communities about water conservation,
Makes sense.
and they even have programs that send chemists to developing countries.
Really?
Yeah, to help implement sustainable water management practices.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's really using their expertise to address a fundamental human need.
It shows their commitment to making a difference.
It does. But, you know, with an organization as big and influential as the ACS,
Oh.
they do face their fair share of challenges.
Okay, this is what I was alluding to earlier.
Right.
What are some of the internal and external obstacles they have to deal with?
Well, internally, one of the biggest challenges is just staying nimble
Okay.
and responsive in a rapidly changing scientific landscape.
Because science is always evolving,
Constantly, new fields are emerging all the time,
and they have to support those cutting-edge areas.
while also maintaining their core strengths.
So it's like trying to steer a giant ship
Yeah,
and make sure you're on course for new uncharted territory.
exactly. A tough balancing act.
And then externally, I'm guessing funding is a big one.
Oh, huge,
Yeah.
especially in today's political climate.
They have to constantly advocate for science funding
All the time, making sure policymakers understand its value.
because research doesn't fund itself.
Nope.
And I imagine they also face pushback from certain industries
Oh, for sure.
whose interests don't align with their policy positions.
Like the fossil fuel industry, for example.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably not too happy about the ACS's stance on climate change.
Not really.
So they're often caught in the middle, trying to uphold the integrity of science while navigating the political arena.
It's a delicate balancing act.
It is, and then there's the challenge of communicating complex scientific issues to the public
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
because there's so much misinformation out there.
And it's easy for people to get confused.
So they have to cut through the noise,
And make sure people trust scientific evidence.
which isn't always easy.
Yeah. No, it's an ongoing effort.
It sounds like they have their work cut out for them.
They do, but despite all these challenges,
Mhm.
they're still managing to make a significant impact.
They are, and I think part of that has to do with their commitment to inclusivity,
Oh, absolutely.
to diversity.
They recognize that diverse perspectives lead to better solutions.
Makes sense. And we talked about the programs for underrepresented students,
Uh-huh.
but are there other ways they're promoting diversity?
Within the organization and the scientific community as a whole.
Yeah.
Oh, tons. They have initiatives focused on gender equity, supporting scientists with disabilities,
Right.
creating a more welcoming environment for everyone,
So they're really trying to make the scientific community,
more representative of the world we live in.
because ultimately science benefits when everyone can participate.
Exactly. Different backgrounds, different experiences all contribute.
And that gives me hope for the future of science.
Me too.
Because despite the challenges,
There's a growing recognition of the importance of diversity and inclusion.
and the ACS is leading the charge.
Absolutely. They're setting a great example.
And that brings us back to the question of the future.
What does the future hold for the ACS?
With all the changes happening in the world,
It's hard to say for sure.
but if their past is any indication,
I think we can expect them to keep pushing boundaries
to keep advocating for science,
and to use their influence for good.
they've shown an incredible ability to adapt.
Over almost 150 years.
And I have no doubt they'll continue to do so.
And a key factor in their success will be attracting the next generation of scientists
So how are they doing that?
by making science more accessible, more engaging,
Uh-huh.
highlighting the real-world applications of chemistry.
So showing kids how chemistry can make a difference.
Exactly. It's not just about memorizing the periodic table,
It's about solving problems, creating new technologies,
making the world a better place,
and making sure those opportunities are open to everyone.
regardless of background,
It's about inspiring a new generation of scientists.
who are passionate about using their knowledge for good.
And that's the legacy the ACS is building.
A legacy that will hopefully shape the future of science for years to come.
You know, it's really something else. Thinking about the impact they've had
Yeah.
from just those 35 chemists back in 1876.
To a global force.
Imagine if they could see it now,
What would they think?
right? Like, how would they even process
The ripple effect.
the ripple effect of their work?
They probably couldn't have even dreamed of it.
It really shows you the power of collaboration and the enduring importance of science.
Couldn't agree more. They created something special.
They did a platform for innovation.
And impact.
Yeah. And it's only gotten stronger over time.
It's almost like
They're-
they planted a seed.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's grown into this massive tree,
With branches reaching every corner of the globe.
touching countless lives along the way.
That's a beautiful image.
And like a tree.
The ACS is constantly growing
Always evolving, adapting.
to the changing environment.
Exactly.
And speaking of changing environments,
Oh,
we're facing some pretty big challenges
yeah, we are.
as a society.
Mhm.
I mean, climate change, resource scarcity, emerging diseases.
Those are big ones
They are, and they're complex issues.
that require scientific solutions.
Exactly. So do you think
Mhm.
that the ACS is well positioned
to tackle these challenges?
Yeah, to play a leading role.
I do, actually.
How so?
Well, they have the global reach. True. The scientific expertise and a real commitment to using science for good.
They're not afraid to get their hands dirty.
So to speak, right? They're already engaging with policymakers,
Advocating for science funding.
educating the public,
And with their focus on the next generation,
and on diversity and inclusion.
I think they're building a community.
That's ready for anything.
Exactly. A community equipped to handle whatever the future throws at us.
It's kind of like
What?
they're creating a global army of scientists,
I love that.
but an army that's here to help.
To heal, to innovate, to build a better world.
Powerful stuff.
It is. So, as we wrap up,
Our deep dive into the ACS.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That science isn't just happening in a vacuum, you know.
It's not isolated.
It's connected to everything.
It's shaping our lives.
In so many ways.
And the ACS is right at the heart of it.
Bringing people together, pushing boundaries
Using the power of chemistry.
to address the biggest challenges we face.
That's a great point.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
It really has. I've learned so much
Me too.
about the ACS and about the role of chemistry in our world.
Hopefully our listeners feel the same.
I think they do.
And remember,
This is just the beginning.
right, the journey doesn't end here.
There's a whole world of science out there waiting to be explored.
So stay curious.
Keep learning.
And who knows?
Maybe you'll even join the ACS yourself one day.
And help shape the future of science.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.